Everyone, and welcome to our council meeting this afternoon. We've got a very large agenda. Welcome to members of the public and also our staff and everybody who has contributed to this very good papers today in front of us. I'd like to welcome, a very special welcome to Petera. Petera is here. He is our new Po Ahurea, and he's our cultural advisor, and we just had a wonderful pohiri last Friday for him, and it's wonderful to have you with us at your first council meeting. So lovely to have you with us. Can we start off now with a karakia? Can I invite Charles to the microphone? Thank you.
Ai o ki te rangi ai o ki te whenua ki a tau te rangi Māria ki a koutou. Ki te ingoa te matua me te tamaiti me te wairua tapu āmene. Haere mai te wairua tapu whakaki a te ngākau o a tāngata whakapono whakauri ai roto i a rātou te kāpuro tau aroha. Tōnua mai tau wairua ka hangahautia o mātou ngākau a ka whakahautia te matua te whenua. E te atua nau I whakamātau te ngākau o a tāngata whakapono mā te maramatanga o te wairua tapu. Ho mai ki a mātou ki ngā mea tika mātou a wairua. A kia ahari tonu mo te mariatanga tukua mai ane I a mātou ariki mahi hukraiti āmene. E te ariki haere mai koe. Tirohia tēnei whare pei a ki tawhiti ngarore katoa o hātuna. Kia noho a hātua anahira ki roto I a mātou hei te aki te rangi mariatanga. Kia noho tau atu whai ki runga o tēnei huinga e te atua kārawa. Mātou ariki mahi hukraiti āmene ki te ingoa te matua me te tamaiti me te wairua tapu āmene.
Ngā mihi nui, kia ora. Thank you, Charles. Apologies and leave of absence, councillors. Do we have any leave of absence? We have Councillor Hawke online who is unwell today. Any further apologies? Oh, he's not online? Yeah. Oh, he's too unwell. Okay, thank you. He was trying to get here. Thank you. Any other leave of absence requests? Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to apply for leave 17th to 19th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Happy to move from the chair. No further leave of absence requests. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Apatu. All those in favour, please say aye. 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 Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Conflicts of interest, I'll actually take those now, councillors. Councillor Apatu.
Yes, Your Worship, Heretonga Arts Link, I'm a board member council representative, so I'll be removing myself.
Thank you, Councillor Apatu. Any other conflicts, councillors, in today's agenda? Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Minutes of council meeting was held on the 18th of April and minutes of council meeting held on the 30th of April. Moved by Councillor Watkins, seconded by Councillor Dixon. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. Those minutes are carried. The Mayor's verbal update. Now, bear with me because I've only just seen this update. Capturing all the wonderful things each and every one of you have been doing over the last month. And it has been a busy month as we all come together again. We had the amazing Bring My Art Home exhibition by Joanna Black at Arts Inc. at our Community Arts Centre, Te Hawke Mai. And it was a beautiful exhibition, and she raised the money for our Cyclone Gabrielle impacted communities, and it's gone into the Merrill Fund. We had an open day with the East Coast Balanced Farming Awards, attended by Deputy Mayor Tari Akur. We've had citizenships on both the 16th of April and the 7th of May with wonderful, wonderful new citizens, so excited to be becoming new Kiwis. Lots of fun when the Mayor dressed up for Dress for Success fashion fundraiser, and it was amazing to see all the incredible wahine in our community supporting the Dress for Success fundraiser. I attended the 100 years of Hawke's Bay Guiding celebration, and that was a beautiful celebration at Clubs Hastings, and lots of stories told about guiding in Hawke's Bay over 100 years. We had a great Sikh parade through Hastings and attended by Councillor Hawke, and HTC hosted the Whakatane District Council, and we had an opportunity to show them Waiaraha and the wastewater treatment plant and how we do what we call partnership with our iwi Māori partners. We hosted a visit from the Tongan Minister, who was here to see all of his Tongan REC workers, Lord Vaea, and we had a great turning of the sod to mark the commencement of the St. Pierre's new sushi in the old Celtic site in Storford Lodge, which has been vacant that I can remember for over 15 years. So we welcome the new development into Storford. We had the first Youth Council afternoon tea, which was held in 2020, and with Councillor Sholem, what a dynamic group of youth councillors we have for 2024 and their vision and plan. Anzac Day services, thank you for all of the councillors who attended all of those. We had 6 or 7 across our district Anzac Day celebration commemorations, and it was a very, very important day for us as a district. We had another beautiful community arts exhibition showcasing all sorts of fibre and fibre work of our local artists, and really enjoyed being able to acknowledge and cut the ribbon and present those awards. Our Hastings City Business Association hosted a beautiful happy hour on the 1st of May. It was great to hear from our business community, those who had ideas to share with us, and just had listened to our business community. And thank you to both Councillor Sholem and Councillor Harvey who attended that with me. HDC provided an update on the CBD initiatives and changes to what our long-term plan looks like and the financial implications of rates. And it was very well attended, with developers coming from as far as Auckland to that meeting. David Downs addressed the staff in 2 motivational sessions in May, and it was very positive messaging, which was really well received by those who attended. The Top Line Training Academy graduation intake was exceptional. By now, 100 young people have gone through the academy and have roles and jobs in civil infrastructure, unison contracting, scaffolding, you name it, anything to army, and we had another 14 young men who are graduates of this program. It's an exceptional program, and it's probably one of the highlights of my time when I see the opportunities of our rangatahi who have gone into career pathways and jobs. The blessing ceremony to mark the start of the deconstruction of the grandstand at Tomona Showgrounds, and the highlight for me was always listening to Hamilton Logan, his beautiful kōrero about the beginning of the grandstand in 1960 when it was first built. Thank you for everyone who attended that. The grandstand now has been deconstructed, and it's going to create quite an opportunity for our community in that space. We had a wonderful new staff pōhiri, and it's always lovely to welcome new staff and just tell them a bit about our vision, our top table, our council's vision, and share with them what their role is and the importance of serving our people. The International Nurses Day at the Hawke's Bay Fallen Soldiers Memorial Hospital was a very special. Just dropped down there to enjoy a barbecue lunch on a very, very cold day. But to be able to acknowledge all of our incredible health workers and share some kai with them, and just to hear how things are in our Hawke's Bay Hospital. The LTP drop-in sessions, thank you everybody for attending. It's really important we get out to our community and we actually be able to explain the LTP and just work directly with individuals to understand their concerns and how we can mitigate them and manage them and opportunities they may bring. And that concludes, but we had I've mentioned our beautiful pōhiri for Petera and the Creative Fibre Hawke's Bay Textile Rhapsody. Please get down to our Arts Centre and have a look. It is very, very cool. I didn't know that you made felt by putting jerseys through the washing machine, and then you turn them into beautiful artworks. And it's really worth having a look because there's some amazing creatives across our region. celebrated in the Arts Centre right now. So I'm happy to move my report. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Sholin. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. I now welcome item 6, Tiha o Waiaroha. Welcome to Mike and the team, Steve, Hanili, Charles, and to introduce this paper. Lovely to have you with us.
Are we there? I think they just needed a warm up.
Yeah. Put the other one on, Carl. Can you just give the other?
Are we good? Thank you, Madam Mayor. Afternoon, councillors. So this is a continuation from our workshop from last Thursday. Yep, last Thursday. I'll take a bit of a step from you, Madam Mayor, in regards to how we want to proceed with this. Are we happy to just take it as paper has been read, given the length of the extent of your agenda today?
Thank you. I think that and I think councillors can ask questions on your report, Mike.
So that being the case, I'm happy to take this as being read and being open to questions.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Thank you. Councillor Barrow.
Thank you, and thank you for the report and for the extensive workshop. Would it be fair to characterise the endorsement of this council of the 4 principles as recognising the foundation of mana whenua engagement in the 3 waters space and ensuring that we can negotiate in future and engage in future in a smoother way?
In short, the answer is yes, but not just in the space of water, but in the space of any topic, to be honest. Yeah, it is engagement principles under which we will normally find mana whenua approach. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Mike, these recommendations to me are absolutely fine for the present time. What would be any process required if these need to be changed for any particular reason in the future?
You'll need to give me a bit more definition of where you're going with this.
So how flexible are the policies? Can they be changed?
You're talking about values, cultural values.
Cultural values, but what happens if another council comes on board in 5 years' time or 10 years' time and doesn't accept these particular values? What's the process?
So within that, are future councils?
Are they locked into these?
Sorry. If I could just ask the Chief Executive to answer the question, thank you.
And I'll get Mike to comment further. But these, what council's being asked to adopt is mana whenua's principles. I don't think these principles will change. Obviously, the application of the principles to the policy work and the policy decisions of council are up for council to work through. The key part of this is not council's principles. This is mana whenua's principles in terms of guiding from a values point of view, then how we develop policy. I think what we're being asked, what council's being asked to do today is to recognise that the process we've been through, these are mana whenua's principles that apply to how we work together in partnership, and then how they will be applied to the creation of policy. So I don't know, Mike, if you've got anything further to add to that.
I couldn't have said it any better.
Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Jessup.
Tihei wai aroha. I'd just like to say that we've waited a long time to get this across the line as mana whenua, so that we're on the same playing field. But this is a footprint into what we want as tangata whenua, as mana whenua. So I'd like to endorse it and move it now.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Jessup. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Apatu,
I would
you
love to
wish
second
speak?
these recommendations.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments, councillors? Well, thank you to the team for the amazing work that you've done. We have a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that is carried. Thank you for the team. And as Councillor Jessup said, we've waited a long time for these values and principles to connect to our why, our water. Thank you. I'd now like to invite Megan Peacock-Coyle, Manager of Arts and Culture, Emma Morgan, Community Strategies Manager, Kevin Carter, Community Grants and Partnership Advisor, and the arts team from Arts and Kiritonga. Maybe the President, you, John, may like to come up, or your Chief, or your General Manager, Jade, and item 7, councillors. Thank you.
And Your Worship, noting Anna has stepped back.
Thank you very much. And we note Councillor Apatu has left the table.
Kia ora koutou, through you, Madam Chair. I would like to acknowledge the General Manager of Arts Inc. Hiratonga, Jade Baker, and members of the Arts Inc. Hiratonga Board. I'll take the report as read, but just would like to refer to a couple of points within the report for clarification and just further detail. Paragraph 3.5, you'll note that Council is Arts Inc. Hiratonga's single largest funder, or largest single funder, and that represents approximately 30% of Arts Inc. Hiratonga's total income. So despite the different contracts and the way Council allocates our funding, Arts Inc. Hiratonga has advised that they attribute all of our funding to their core operational model, their fixed costs. They then use that funding as leverage to be able to apply for additional funding through central government, community funding, private funding, as a way of delivering all of their programs and activities. Paragraph 3.13, as well as the items noted in that paragraph, Arts Inc. Hiratonga has advised that as a response to their financial challenges, they are also receiving external support to diversify their fundraising and revenue opportunities. They've put new financial controls in place. They have made changes to their governance and operations, and they are working on a business model for all of their activities. Some clarification and further detail on the move to a biennial festival. So previously, Arts Inc. Hiratonga have delivered an annual festival event. They are now proposing, or have committed to, the move to a 2-year festival program. And this is actually in line with recommendations from our 2023 review. A 2-year festival program could include smaller interventions throughout the period, as well as commissioning of new local work that would lead into a major festival. Arts Inc. Hiratonga, in paragraph 3.15, has sought an increase to their annual council funding, and this amounts to $35,460, as advised in that paragraph. A large portion of this is to allow the artists to exhibit their work for free in the Community Arts Centre, and again, this is in alignment with the review that we undertook in 2023. The remaining increase is to cover increases to their fixed costs, such as insurance and audit fees. Now, finally, officers have recommended a continuation of Arts Inc. Hiratonga's funding at the status quo level. This is as per the LTP draft. While it doesn't meet the increase requested, it is considered that it would provide an opportunity for Arts Inc. Hiratonga to take a breath, enable them to build on the changes that they've made, progress their strategic plan, and create sustainable foundations for future growth. It would also allow us and Arts Inc. Hiratonga to lead a collective impact approach for the sector, or within the sector, as outlined in paragraphs 4.2 and 4.3. In terms of the increased funding option, which is also in the report, It should be noted that in accordance with the draft LTP, any increase in funding allocated today would result in a decrease in the available single-year community grant envelope, which is currently sitting at $126,000. Also, as part of that increased funding option, as it is proposed that it is a continuation of the 3-year contract that they currently have, obviously a new contract, but a 3-year period, any increase in funding could be different per year. So, for example, it could be a staggered approach with status quo funding in year 1, but then an increase in years 2 and or 3. Questions through the chair.
Thank you. Now, I'd just like to ask the Chair, John Eden or Jade, if they would like to add anything to the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. I think I will hand over to Jade, who has all the detail, I understand.
Welcome, Jade.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou, ko Jade Baker toka wingua, ko General Manager, Arts and Kiratonga, aho. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I do not have anything to add at this point, but I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jade. Now, Councillor Fowler, we'll start with questions and then we'll move to comments. So questions first, councillors. I see there's a number of them.
Yep, sure. Through Your Worship, also have a recommendation. Is that okay to move that now as a question?
Well, I think we'll just start with questions, then we'll move
Okay,
to
sure.
debate.
Yep, sure. So, in terms of the funding of the $160,000, that 120 for the festival next financial year, will there be a festival of sorts in that financial year, 1 July 24 to 30 June 25?
Through you, Madam Chair, is it appropriate to direct that question to Jade? Thank you.
Thank you. Through the Chair. So there will not be a delivery of a festival per se in that festival year, but how it actually works is that we need to contract in that financial year. So in order to deliver in October, we would be contracting in February. So being able to have that confirmed funding envelope before we enter into contractual obligations is really important for the risk management and sustainability of the organisation.
So that festival will be 2025, into 2025. So that will go into a new financial year, won't it? So it'll be 1 July 25 to 26. So you get another 120 tranche then too, won't you, from that aspect?
Yes. And so again, I guess just referring to the report in terms of how we use the funds is for fixed operational costs, realistically, which we can't raise from other sources.
Thank you.
Councillor Lawson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the report. This is probably a question for the officers. Just looking at 3.7, the Blossom Parade funding has been $46,000 since 2015-16, and Council took over the marketing and advertising costs of the parade in 2021 with the expansion. I'd just be interested to know how much Council is actually spending on that expansion of the Blossom Parade.
Thank you. Bruce, did you want to answer that? Or Naomi? No. So this is the events, and we'll ask the events general manager to answer. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Apologies for the croakiness. The costs for promoting the Blossom Parade were folded into the Blossom Festival. I haven't got the budget in front of me as to how much that total expenditure was, but it was a cost efficiency to promote both events under one banner, so therefore relieving the Arts Inc. of that cost as an event cost. It was just folded into the wider festival promotion.
Councillor Lawson, would you like to follow further questioning?
Thank you. I think that would be a question that could be answered when the information is available. Thank you.
Put that down as an action to come back to you. Thank you. And of all council. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm looking at the funding contract and the term of it. Was any consideration changing it from a 3-year term to a rolling 2-year? The benefit of a rolling 2-year being there's certainty of funding for 2 years and you don't face a sudden shortfall in funding, particularly when you're planning an arts festival every second year?
Through you, Madam Chair, the 3-year contract is in line with our multi-year community grants policy. So our other multi-year community grants, which are allocated through the Civic Development Subcommittee, all have a 3-year contract. It's in line with the LTP. In terms of the misalignment, I suppose, of the funding with the contractual obligations that Arts Inc. Hedatonga has for the festival, part of a biennial or 2-year festival program, part of that rationale will actually help alleviate those problems that they have with the contracting and having the money and time. Does that answer your question?
It answers how you got to a 3-year term, but you didn't answer whether you considered a 2-year rolling.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, we didn't, quite simply because of the 3-year term that is within the multi-year grants policy. This, so just to note that this Arts Inc. Hedatonga grant would normally have been considered and allocated through the Civic Development Subcommittee as part of that multi-year grants allocation, and it's in accordance with the policy.
Thank you. Councillor Buddo.
Thank you, Worship. I enjoyed looking through the annual reports from 2021 and 2022. I was wondering where the annual report was for 23.
Through the chair, that has just been released at our recent AGM, so I'm happy to deliver you a copy after this.
Thank you. Councillor Sholom.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the report and documentation. I'm interested to know, with the change that's proposed, how council officers and Arts Inc. will be working together going forward to get the greatest bang for our buck for our ratepayers and also the greatest return for our creative community. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Sholom.
Chair. The idea is that collective impact model approach, so that we would be working much more closely together to align our shared vision within all of the arts sector and ecosystem in Hedatonga. And so that's the approach that we're really keen to work together with. And that will mean from all parts of council, as well as from a Toi Toi and art gallery perspective, from a festival perspective as well.
Your Worship, if I may have a follow-up? Thank you. I guess the thing that I'm keen to understand is, given the high quantum of our arts funding that HDC will be providing to this organisation, I'm looking for a little bit of surety from a governance perspective around ongoing reporting and understanding what KPIs might be. And could you elaborate a little bit more on the work that's being done in that area?
Madam Chair. Yes, absolutely. So the review that we did last year was around how we can manage the contracts better, both sides. So that was very much a part of figuring out the KPIs, making sure that they were relevant and that they were achievable. So really trying to make sure that Hastings District Council was setting Arts Inc. Hedatonga up for success, as well as providing more evidence of what was being delivered to our community.
And Your Worship, if I may ask one last one, thank you. So I understand that a recommendation's been made by officers and has been received by Arts Inc. to look at a biannual festival, but picking up on my colleague's earlier point, I guess, around funding continuing, but there only being a biannual festival, I'd just like to understand a little bit more. You've made mention, and it's in the report, around sort of smaller events and probably what you consider the off years. Could you elaborate a little more, just to give us a bit more of an understanding of how that works?
Thank you, through the chair. So I guess it's early days in some ways to talk about that, but what we are exploring, firstly, we would like to do some audience development this year, so use this time where we take a breath to actually engage with communities to understand more about what they would like to see. But some of the hypotheses, I guess I could say, about what we're exploring is the opportunity to use that time to, as mentioned, commission new work, so work with local creatives to develop work that is uniquely of this area, and also be able to think about that as a unique value proposition of this regional festival over other festivals. I think, again, in terms of just the sustainability of delivering a festival very well and having an appropriate lead time for an organisation and region of this size, actually it does give us longer lead times to do more considered and strategic development in that space. It is the model for several other regional festivals, and there are a range of reasons about why we think it might work here. So I guess I would say also that during that time, Arts Inc. Kiratonga doesn't go into hibernation. We are still delivering all of our other services, and it gives us the opportunity to explore different ways of growing those services as well by creating a bit of capacity in the organisation. There are untapped opportunities in other spaces too.
Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Worship. I'm not sure who to direct this question to, but I want to go really high level. We're looking at committing just over $1 million over the next 3 years. And I want to know what we're going to get for our money. Not in terms of KPIs and budgets and reports, but actually if you were speaking to the ratepayers that may be watching this, what are they going to get for their money? Sell it to us, please.
Thank you. That'd have to be the chair, wouldn't it? No pressure.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I might need some support here. No, I think it's all about, well, basically it's about the quality of life, and it's the quality of the place you live. And it's also about the, well, let's use the word status of Hiratonga. Is this the kind of place that you want to be attracted to? Is it going to be supporting the lifestyle you want? Yes, I think the cultural life of a region is very important, and of course it has economic impact. So what are you getting for your buck? Well, you're going to get an idea or a thought of a city. This is a place, or this is a region I want to come to because of what's on offer and what kind of cultural events. It may be of surprise to some people, but for me, for example, that's the whole core of my life, and my purpose is to be involved in culture. And I've always worked in the cultural area, so to me it's very important. And as I say, it just adds to the flavour of a city. Yeah, it makes a place you want to come to. That's the high level. Any other comments would be appreciated.
So thank you, John. I'll just add to that. I guess the other way that we consider our business and what we are offering is that we offer platforms to connect audiences with impactful ideas, and those platforms span right from grassroots and anyone with an idea. We want to give them the platform to tell that story, but it also spans right through to the best in art today. So in terms of the portfolio mix that we offer, there is something for everyone through the different services that we offer. So.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Your Worship. This, like Councillor Kerr, I'm not sure where I'm directing this question, and it follows on for her question. Obviously, council finances are under a lot of pressure, and I'm wondering whether Hawke's Bay were included, Arts Hiratonga, if I get it right, were included in the reviews that we did in the search for economies and savings, or does it fall outside of that?
Chief, do you want to answer that, or Bruce?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'll answer first. Yes, it was considered as part of the total multi-year contestable grant envelope. So there was a 10% reduction applied to that total envelope. Yep. And as I mentioned earlier, the Arts Inc. Kiratonga grant comes out, or part of that grant comes out of that total envelope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a question from me around the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival and the changes that obviously are going to occur with a new by every other year biennial. This is a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, and I need to ask the big question: who else in Hawke's Bay is contributing funding $120,000 from this council for a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. What other councils are contributing to a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival?
Thank you, through the chair. So in the past, Napier City Council has contributed towards Nuit Blanche, one event. I am not sure on prior to last year, and I could go back and check that information for you, but I'm not aware of any other district council contributing as much as Hastings District Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, could I just clarify, Jade, it's probably a next level of detail. Is that contribution actually in cash or in kind? Is it a financial contribution towards the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival?
It is a small cash contribution, nowhere in comparison to the Hastings District Council contribution.
Thank you. Councillor Butto.
Thank you, Your Worship. I note in your report you've found significant contractor and wage savings. I was wondering how you managed to achieve that. It sends a good signal that you're looking for efficiencies, but could you explore that?
Through the chair, I can answer partially, but I might hand to you as well, John. We made the very difficult decision to end our contractors' contracts, not because we don't need them, but because we can't afford it. And there has been a redundancy, and there has been also a person who's taken employment with Hastings City Art Gallery, so win for you guys, loss for us, and we've treated that as attrition to find further savings.
Yes, through the chair, the board had to make quite a difficult decision, and we had to do a restructure, and one of the full-time people had to be made redundant because of the limited resource we had. After putting on festivals for 9 years, the last 3 years have been pretty difficult, and have really drawn on our resources, and we were in the position where we had to cut back and rebuild, basically.
Your Worship, are you ready for comments yet?
Questions? Councillor Kerr?
Just a very simple question, and it's actually to the Chief. The execute a suitable contract, will that have appropriate reporting mechanisms within that contract? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dixon, I'm happy for debate or direction.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. These recommendations, in my mind, are very, very sound, and thanks to the officers for working through these with Arts Inc. here at Tonga. It must be remembered that Arts Inc. here at Tonga runs the Russell Street Gallery, and at most times all those art displays are full. There's hardly a spare week available for anyone to put a display on. It also gives Arts Inc. here at Tonga the certainty for 3 years and the flexibility with the funding within these recommendations. And I think that's very important to them. They're not reliant on annual funding, because that's been a bugbear in their past. So having this 3-year funding is excellent. It also funds the Blossom Parade, the Arts Festival, the Arts Trail booklet, and the Russell Street Gallery, as some councillors won't recall. It also gives council the contracted obligations to insist and enforce that the obligations are being met. I think that's key. That wasn't around behind. They can check up regularly to see where they're at. So I'm more than happy to move the recommendations as listed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Councillor Jessup.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask that I've in the Māori Impact that you are committed to acknowledging mana whenua and Ngātui Māori. I just want to know how that's going to be accessed for our people to get into that. Thank you.
It's a question. Thank you very much, Councillor Jessup.
Thank you, through the chair. So we have a Po'arahi role working with Howie Maguire, and part of our plan to action and uphold our commitment is that first step is we're working with iwi Toi to establish a relationship and develop joint priorities in that space, and to understand really what Arts Inc. Kiratonga can contribute and work with mana whenua for their priorities. So it's about understanding what platforms we have existing, but also what platforms we need to create to uphold that commitment. So I will say we are on a journey in that space, but we are very much committed.
Thank you. And, you know, I think that there is some concerns from councillors, and I accept that we have a mover. I haven't got a seconder yet, but you know, I'm looking at, if we can focus on our recommendations now, councillors, and I'm looking at recommendation C, which raises some of the areas that you have discussed in terms of $360,000 for an arts festival. That clearly very limited for Hawke's Bay, that very limited contribution from other councils in Hawke's Bay. And we have to be considering every bit of our funding at the moment. And so that is an area that, you know, the Blossom Parade is very much a business as usual. The Arts Centre is business as usual. But the Arts Festival, which is a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, that Hastings has been supporting for 10 years, is now changing. So this is the area that we need to look at our recommendations, and I'll take the next speaker, Councillor Fowler.
Yep, thank you. Through Worship, I'd just like to say, love the festival, very supportive, as I think most people here are. Yeah, I would like to propose another E for the recommendations. I'm concerned that because it's going to annually, and that it's a substantial amount of money, that I believe that the council should look over your business plans before we approve the money, because if we're looking at biannual, what's that, $240,000, that's a substantial amount of money. And as past chair of the Art to Go Trust and running a festival, I started going grey, I was really bald, but doing that. Also, yeah, so that, like a good cook, I think we've prepared a recommendation E that Mr. Cameron or Caitlin might put up. But also, too, is when I was chair, I also came and visited the mayor and twisted her arm and got some money out of her for the Art Deco Trust as well. So I'd support you pushing that envelope as well, because it is a Hawke's Bay event, and we do support Napier events, and I know they do some of ours so as well. So the recommendation is up there as E, and that is just to get some accountability, because it is a lot of ratepayers' money going out for eventually a 2-year festival.
Just to read that E, council notes that $166,000 annual allocation for 3 years with the whole contract.
Can I say through you, Worship, given you delegating it to me as the Chief Executive, I think that's a really clear direction, because I think at the heart of this is the question around, so Councillor Ku's question around, for the investment in the events, and the single biggest, quantum of money is for a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. What is the business plan in terms of what will be delivered for that investment? And I think recommendation E makes that very clear.
Councillor Harvey.
It's just clarification. It was referenced around a 2-day festival this year. Is that still an intention or not? Because I'm trying to work out whether that relates to, is that recommendation for the biennial big one, or is it for
Through you, Chair, it's for anything that they plan, any event. Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Harvey? Councillor Kerr. Oh, Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question around the proposed amendment. I'm just interested for feedback from officers and potentially Arts Inc. Around any implications around that. I just want to understand if there's any negative implications of us adopting that before we make our position known.
Through the chair. We're just back and forth, but from a councillor or officer perspective, I think we feel when working with Arts in Kiratonga that this business plan work is already in progress. They've updated significant strategic plan that hasn't been delivered previously. So I believe from an officer perspective that this business plan will deliver what council are asking for, but I'd like to ask the GM to respond.
Thank you, through the chair. I guess the only hesitational question I would have is just in terms of 166, because from what I understand, the questions relate to the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival rather than Blossom. So whether, holding that back when we have delivery in September is practical from a cash flow perspective. That's my comment.
Sorry, I missed that. Did everyone hear Jade? Could you just bring that a bit closer to you, Jade? It's just that I didn't.
Apologies. Yeah, my question is in, I guess, regards to 166 and the timeline perhaps of this review, because part of that is for Blossom Festival, which is delivered in September. So holding back more than the 120 festival portion could present a cash flow challenge.
So I think that it's what we've got there is the Blossom is included in as well. So I think that probably if you change that, Councillor Fowler, to 120.
Yes, through Chair, happy to do that.
Okay, that would address the issue that has been raised. Councillor Chollam, are you comfortable with that change, which is what you're alluding to? Is this going to impact Arts and Kiritonga to deliver their business?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. If they believe that the recommendation won't impede their ability to deliver business, that helps. The other question I've got, if I may, Your Worship, is again more to officers. I recognise that this is a bit unusual. Like normally this funding request would come through civic development, it would be held up against all the other applications we've had, and that committee would allocate funding. And I do understand, being a member of that committee, that in principle civic development did support funding of the multi-year contract and held over funds to allow for this wider conversation to happen. Going forward, will this come through civic development in the future as multi-year grants roll over? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kirk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Because this is an area I haven't been involved in, this question may have already been understood and clarified. But I'm not sure how strong the link is between Arts and Hiratonga, our staff and council, when it comes to council's expectations. For example, sitting here, I'm thinking about the need for external funding to support the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. So I think my question is possibly to officers asking, are you confident or do you need to work with councillors very soon to understand our expectations to be able to ensure they're fed through the business plans to come back for our approval?
So I'll ask the Chief to answer that.
I mean, I think from an officer's perspective, I mean, clearly officers and Arts Inc. Hiratonga are working pretty closely together off the review that's been done, the work that's going on. I think at the nub of this, if we kind of accept that we've got the Arts Centre and it works well, we've got a Blossom Parade that's coming up again in September, is really the question and what the business plan needs to address that comes back to the council. If the council, on behalf of the ratepayers, are putting $360,000 in over a 3-year period for an arts festival, what is being delivered for an arts festival? Is it biennial? Is there something smaller happening in the off year? What is the business plan? What is the total revenue? What's the funding that's coming from other councils or private sponsorship? That is what the council is looking for confidence in, and understanding what 360,000 of the $1 million commitment over 3 years is going to deliver for the community. And I think that's the focus of the work and what needs to come back. And council needs to be satisfied in that it's delivering the appropriate outcomes for the community.
Your Worship, do you have a mover and a seconder?
I have a mover, and I'll just go back to the mover in a minute when I've just had some other conversations. Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Despite my earlier comments re issues of finance, I'm just a little concerned as to whether we haven't sort of ambushed the submitters from Aotearoa. Were you aware that this amendment was likely to be added to the agenda?
I don't need the team to answer that, Councillor Nixon. This is the first time we've looked at a 3-year contract of $1 million. The councillors have to be satisfied that they are going to have a business plan that is going to meet the needs of the community. So, however, any organisation can put forward an opportunity in a submission. We have to identify if we're getting the best value for our ratepayers.
I clearly share those concerns. I'm just a bit concerned that we might have sprung this somewhat as a surprise, and I'm wondering, is there another course of action that might meet both theirs and our needs?
So that's if you look at the recommendations, which is C, which works directly with the Chief Executive at a very high level to make sure a business case and business plan is acceptable to the council to deliver the outcomes that the council sets. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking at recommendation E, and from an event organiser's perspective, it's a bit of a chicken and egg as to whether you got the funding to implement a program and present it in detail to confirm the funding. So I'm not sure the wording up there is right, whether it's possible to detail the events program at the time of confirming the funding. I think draft may be a better word rather than a detailed program.
Again, from a Chief Executive's point of view, I'll start. I think what this is saying is, the council is allocating an overall sum of money, $1 million over 3 years, of which $360,000 is provision for an arts festival. Before that's drawn down, the council wants to see the business plan for what it will deliver, given it represents a third of the value of the contract. So I think that Arts and Kiratonga can work with some confidence that the council is willing to allocate that, but the ability to draw any of it down is subject to the council actually seeing the plan for what $360,000 will deliver for that event.
Thank you. Comfortable with that approach. Councillor Fowler, last speaker.
Yep. Thank you, Worship. Yeah, just like the Chief's basically, Mr. Bickles basically said what I've said. I think we owe it to the ratepayers to do this. They're already doing a strategic plan anyway, so that should fit in nicely. It's not a stick. It's just make sure the ratepayers have good value for money, and what is festivals can be high risk, and we've seen that happen as well.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Sorry, just previous to this, the Civic Development Committee used to meet on this and allocate out all the funding. It never went to council. So this is the first time that this has actually come to council because of the difficulties Arts Inc. were having.
Just a correction, Councillor Dixon. This is the first year, as I understand it, that you did an annual basis through civic development, or did you do a 3-year plan?
Sorry?
Did you do a multi-year?
3-year plan.
You did a multi-year plan.
3-year plan. So we've done a whole lot of the others have all had a 3-year plan, not an annual year plan. So, okay, so I'm not very happy with that amendment. I think it was far better the way it was written earlier.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for the original motion on the table? Craig, I just might take a minute and just confer with Craig because this is getting a little bit tricky now. We've got an amendment. Okay, thanks everybody. If you could resume, thanks to the team. I'll go back to the mover. Thank you. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you, Worship.
Oh, can you just put your down? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I'm happy now that you've included the delivery of an arts festival. I think that was important. Otherwise, it was getting tied up with the Blossom Parade and the book trail
Yes.
and that sort of thing. So the delivery of the arts festival for 120,000 annually is fine. Thank you. Agree with the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Oh, thank you, Councillor Nixon. I didn't see that. Councillor Nixon, second. Any further?
Sorry,
Councillor-
I just want some clarification,
Yes,
please.
certainly.
Sorry. So, is it correct that we're giving $360,000? Yeah, but in effect, are we only getting one event?
That's I think what the focus of the business plan is, so we understand if we're allocating $360,000 for a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, the business plan needs to set out, is that just one, or is it 1.5, or is it something small in year one, a big festival in year two? That is fundamentally what the business...
So in effect, we're potentially giving more than what we have in the past.
We've previously done $120,000 a year, which has delivered an annual arts festival. What we're saying is there's an allocation here of $360,000 for a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. What we need is the business plan to understand what it is we're going to get for that investment.
And you know, there needs to be something in the off years. There's no question about it. And that's what we can't just say that we're only going to do one arts festival and we're going to give you this amount of money. We've said that we need the arts in Kiritonga to get some more funding from other councils if they're going to continue to do a Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. We can't be the only funder. It's not a Hastings Arts Festival. We've funded it for 10 years. We need to see what do the off years look like. And I think that E captures that opportunity to bring back a business case to say, what does it look like? You know, Arts Inc. Kiritonga doesn't do Jazz in the Domain or Summers in the Park now. They've changed. They're not doing some of those things they did in the past. And we need to be over this for that sum of money.
Thank you for the clarification. So, council notes that the 120, is it 120 or is it the 360 that actually should be referenced at the start of that then?
It says for the delivery of Arts Festival for annual allocation for 3 years, so it's 120 a year. Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. I come back to my comment about a rolling 2 years, and with this we're going to give 360 in a 3-year period for one arts festival. Maybe not. But the next period it'll be 2 arts festivals.
So what the team have said here today, L1, Councillor Corbyn, is that they will look at working with a business plan to deliver more than an arts festival, and if you want that captured in there, so there has to be something delivered on the off years, but it's subject to a business case and a business plan of what Arts in Kiritonga is going to deliver for festivals, arts festivals. Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Your Worship. May I comment on the motion that's on the table? Okay. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to recognise the Arts Inc. Board and GM for clearly working so collaboratively with council staff. That is a really refreshing approach, and I think we will see a really good outcome as a result of that. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge that. What I also want to take a moment to acknowledge is, as you've outlined at the start of this, I think you said it was 30% of revenue is coming from council, is that right? So that means Arts Inc. is raising the other 70% and delivering for our arts community, delivering for the culture of Hiratonga. That's a pretty good return on investment when you consider it in that vein. So I am very happy to support the recommendations that are on the table and working forward and hopefully getting a really great outcome from this going forward.
Thank you,
Look
Councillor
forward to seeing the
Sholem.
business plan.
Councillor Dixon, you are the mover. Did you want to write a reply? Thank you. The seconder, are you comfortable with the right of reply?
I'm fine, thank you, Bishop.
Thank you. I have a recommendation. I have a oh no, it was Councillor Nixon. Did you want to write a reply, Councillor Nixon? No. Okay, you comfortable? Thank you. All right, I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you to the team. Look forward to working with you. Right, item number 8, the closure of the paper road, Okawa.
I'm happy to move, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you.
Happy to second.
Thank you. We have a mover and a seconder. Thank you, Bruce. No questions. Any questions, councillors, on this? We've heard from our rural councillors and we're comfortable with that.
And if I may say, the Rural Community Board has also had a look at this and commented positively in support.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We have a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put I'm going to put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Moving on to Bruce again. Parking, traffic and parking controls. We've got three areas, the Havelock Road, the Heretaunga Street East and the Brookvale Road. So, Bruce, do you have anything to add to your paper?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I think the report spells out basically the situation with it. With the Havelock Road ones, as those are recommendations arising out of changes to accommodate the new world there. Heretaunga Street, the zebra crossing relocation, that's come about as a result of investigations on behalf of Grey Power to improve the safety of the crossing. It has been identified as a safety issue. And with Brookvale Road is the addition of a new school patrolled zebra crossing to support basically spreading some of the load with some of the challenges of parents occurring at before and after school times. So I'm more than happy to take any queries that arise.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Any questions, councillors? This is, you know, the Heretaunga Street one has been in front of Bruce now for a little while from the Grey Power team. Very worried about seniors getting across there, and so they have been very interested in this paper. Councillor Butto.
Happy to move, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Worship. Just a point of clarification, please, Bruce. Just on the map on page 41, you show the left turn out into Havelock Road. Do I assume correctly that is also the left turn in from Havelock Road?
True, Madam Chair, yes. The movements at Havelock Road will be left in off Havelock Road, left out onto Havelock Road, and right turn into from Havelock Road into New World. There is no right turn out from New World onto Havelock Road. On Porter Drive, the only movements permitted will be left in and left out.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you. Based on, I think that the resource consent for McDonald's a number of years ago was quite similar to that, maybe exactly the same. How do we make sure that that's actually what happens? Because anyone that's going through Havelock at any point in time during the day will see that those really aren't, rules aren't applied.
Through Madam Chair, with the no right turn out, that is always a possibility around it. We have some interesting people out there that don't want to abide by things. I think the key thing is that part of it is to ensure is that the markings and signs are actually quite clear to facilitate that. If we had thought about a condition to physically prohibit the right turn, that in actual fact then has the effect of prohibiting access to the properties on the western side of Havelock Road. So part of the overall design was to have a painted median where people could actually wait to turn to and from those properties. So it's actually trying to minimise the impacts arising out of the New World development.
Thank you.
It is one we will monitor.
Just a supplementary question. Has there been any other, I'm not sure what the word it starts with M, modifying or things that you have looked to put in place that could prevent it from occurring? Because I know as soon as that supermarket opens that it is going to be an issue, and we all know how difficult it is on that part of Havelock Road anyway. So it's not sure whether this is something that we just need to look at a little bit further.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, that's something I will follow up. So thanks for that, Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Worship. My concern was very similar to Councillor Harvey's, because traffic does turn right into the mobile garage, it turns right into McDonald's, it will still turn right across the road into the new supermarket. So we have to do something about it. Otherwise, it will just hold up the traffic.
Through you, Madam Chair, I would certainly agree, and I think part of the overall outcome was to get the painted median in there is with what's happening at the present time, is if you get somebody that's turning right into, say, Mobile, for instance, it actually holds up all of the traffic. So we're trying to come up with a particular balance around it to ensure that we can get traffic moving quite freely along Havelock Road. I think where we do have the concern is from where the new pedestrian crossing will be relocated from that point through to the roundabout with Karanema Drive, where we will still have 4 on-street car parks. So it's a future challenge, but with this, is at least it'll free up over half of that section of Havelock Road.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the proposed location of the pedestrian crossing in Havelock North, because you've got Angkor Wat almost at the end of it. You've got McDonald's on the corner. You've got the service station adjacent to that. These are all businesses that create a lot of traffic coming out onto Havelock Road, right by the pedestrian crossing. And I have another concern. The existing pedestrian crossing, if it's of a similar design, if you're trying to ride a bike up there, it protrudes out into the roadway, which makes it actually somewhat dangerous because you get pushed out further into the road, and I'm just worried that hasn't been taken into account.
Through Madam Chair, in looking closely at the plan that would have been an attachment, you'll find that the only physical elements of the relocated pedestrian crossing are actually a central island. There are no curb extensions that will be provided for a proposed crossing. So that actually deals with that particular problem. The reason
I couldn't tell that, yeah.
The reason for that is we actually need the space. That's why we've taken the parking out to provide the space to allow for a cycle lane, traffic lane, painted median, which will have the solid islands in, and then the traffic lane and the cycle lane in the opposite direction. So it will be a marked improvement in that section of Havelock Road.
Thank you, Councillor Nixon. Councillor Watkins.
I'm happy to second, Your Worship.
Any further questions? People comfortable with Brookvale Road? Okay, thank you. All right, so I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much, Bruce. Welcome to Gus, item number 10. This is the Category 3 voluntary buyout and timeframe program. And it's time for completion, and when we suggest that is the best time. Look forward to hearing from you, Gus. Thank you for your paper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take the paper as read, but essentially the key points are we're making really good progress with the buyout. We've got 92% of property owners engaged at the moment. Just over 70% of owners have now got an offer in front of them. There's around 8% of owners who at this particular point are choosing not to engage or are stalled for several reasons. We think it's appropriate to think about the time frame now, and we think actually if we can encourage people to engage before the end of August, we'll be able to help them get valuations before the end of September. That would enable offers to be constructed, and that would allow them the full 3 months to consider the offer before the end of the year. We think that's a really reasonable time frame, gives people enough time, and then that gives certainty to the resources we're using, the people, and most importantly, the owners in the process. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Gus. Questions, councillors? Any comments?
No, I've got a
Councillor,
question.
oh, sorry, Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, I have a question. Broadly speaking, I support it, but it's just, I understand some property owners are having a struggle with finding additional land that they can move on to outside of the plains zone. And I just wonder, is this a factor that's affecting the take-up of the buyout proposals? And if so, what dimension is it? I know that at least one, but there might be others. I just wondered, can you elaborate?
Through you, Madam Chair. Finding finding new properties is definitely a factor for a number of people. A lot of people have moved on. We have, where we can, have given people extended settlement periods in order to help enable that. You know that we've been working separately on Plan Change 6, which enables enables properties to be subdivided to enable that. That will take some time. So we can continue to work with owners on giving them a bit of time around that. But that's certainly a factor in people's decision making, yes.
Just so you're just saying, yes, we will give them more time. We acknowledge that that's a potential problem. Probably not a lot of properties, but yeah, it's a big issue for the people affected.
Through you, Madam Chair, it is. I mean, and we have been generous with the times, and under the policy, people have got 3 months to consider the offer. If they've got a good reason like that, we can extend that. There does become a point where we need to draw a line under if people have had an offer in front of them for 6 months or something like that, because they've then had enough time.
I'm happy with that.
Thank you. Councillor Fowler?
It's through you, Your Worship. Similar to Councillor Nixon's question, in terms of those who aren't engaging, maybe a difficult question to answer, but how entrenched are their positions? Because obviously, as you pointed out in your paper, that the cost of holding the office open for them to make a mind is costing the ratepayers quite a lot of money.
Through you, Madam Chair. There's probably, out of those 8 owners who have not yet engaged, there's a decent proportion of those that have said, actually, we're not interested in moving, we want to stay on our land. So we have had a bit of success over the last week or so in encouraging, I think, two owners from that list to come in for a meeting. Now, that's just an initial meeting. They may decide after that initial meeting that they're not interested. So we might see a little movement there, but we think that that's a reasonable representation of people who have said, no, actually, they want to stay on their land.
And if I could just add through you, Your Worship, I mean, the important things to remember, this is a voluntary process. We assumed that we would get 90% uptake. We're currently at 92% of affected property owners engaged in this. And so I think it really is about putting, the marker down around saying to those that either, have no interest in engaging or, some valid reasons for not at this stage, just being clear that it is a voluntary process, but there is a date, with plenty of notice, which will be the cut-off point to choose to engage or not in what is a voluntary process. And engaging in the process, doesn't lock you into having to move off your land.
Thank you. Councillor Sholin.
Thank you, Your Worship. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the huge amount of work that the VBO has done, and when we look at the numbers, that's really impressive, especially when you compare us to other natural disasters elsewhere in the country. So well done to you and your team. In light of that, I do think it is wise for us to consider a time to stop, and I do like the recommendations in which it gives time for further active engagement with those who are not engaging right now. It means no one's been cut off at the knees. They will be given time in which to change their mind if they would like to, and if not, it is
You're
right.
moving the recommendations, Councillor Sholin.
I am looking at the recommendations, so I'm very happy to move those, Your Worship.
You. Councillor Apatu.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just referring to clause 3.7, and at the end of that sentence, 3.8, it refers to whether to choose between the council-led process or the kaupapa Māori pathway beyond December. And I'm just wondering if you could elaborate on that, please.
Happy to, through you, Madam Chair. So there's owners of whenua Māori, Māori title land, and those that have general title but can whakapapa back to the iwi involved in those conversations, have a choice of whether to go through that government-led process, the kaupapa Māori pathway, or the council-led pathway. We are well ahead, the council-led process is well ahead of that kaupapa Māori pathway, and so we understand that there will be a small number of owners in that situation where they're weighing up, do they take the council offer or do they wait and see what comes out of the kaupapa Māori pathway? We don't want to cut them off because we know that they will want the options put in front of them.
Councillor Apatu, are you comfortable with that direction?
Very comfortable,
okay.
And happy to second that.
Lovely, thank you. Any further comments or questions, councillors? Happy to put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you very much, Gus and David and your team, and good luck with carrying on and getting this work, very important work for our impacted communities sorted out. Item 11, approval for waiving land covenant at Wainako Village. Welcome to Jennifer. Councillor, recommendations on page 54. And anything to add to your paper, Jennifer?
No, it was fine. I wanted it.
Thank you.
Happy to accept questions.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins.
Happy to move recommendations, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Watkins. Thank you, Councillor Lawson. Given that you were there right through this, Councillor Watkins, you know this very well. Good, thank you. No, any further questions or any further comments? Right, I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Watkins, Councillor Lawson, all those in favour please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. That was quick and easy. And very warm welcome to the chair of Te Tauwhenua Heritonga, who's with us, Mike Paku. Now we have item 12, which is the submission of the fast track approvals bill. Welcome to Anna. Anna? Oh, she's on her way down? All right, we'll move on to item 13. And this is the waiver of the building consents and cyclone recovery residential building work. Welcome to Tony and John. Thank you, John. It's good to understand the progress of people being able to access these consents until at this time.
I'll just get Tony to hand out, he's done a little summary sheet which sums up exactly the up-to-date position, and then we'll with your, through you, Madam Chair, we'll just get into the item.
Okay. Any questions on the paper in front of you, councillors? Have you got further information you're adding, Tony, or is this different from the paper?
It's just a summary. It's just a brief summary, Your Worship.
Okay.
Just to
Thank you.
table, just to make it a bit easier to read.
It's a breakdown, councillors, for everybody to look through, but I have got some questions. So, Tony, Councillor Butto.
Thank you, Worship. Do we have any indication of what the demand for this will be going forwards? It has been a while since the cyclone. I'm presuming a number of repairs have been carried out. Is there more of that to come?
Through Madam Chair. There's been no rhyme or reason as to who's applying or looking forward into the future. Again, there's no rhyme or reason. It's our projections based on, I guess, the number that have been submitted in the last 2-3 months. But in terms of most of the buildings have been repaired or appear to be repaired like for like. And overall, we've done approximately, to date, we've done 136 consents, which includes some retaining walls. But projecting forward, it's a bit difficult.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Corbyn?
Thank you, Your Worship. Is this still unbudgeted in the long-term plan, or is it budgeted? It's still unbudgeted.
Thank you, Your Worship. These repairs, would they generally, the consent fees, be covered by insurance, or is this something the homeowner would normally cover?
Through Madam Chair. I believe some are covered by insurance, but initially we were unaware what was covered by insurance. But some yes, some no.
Have we done an analysis of how many in the past? Do we know that information? Is that something that the VBO get that information? No, we don't know. Okay, thank you. Other questions, councillors? This is whether you want to extend this, and this is to give the community some certainty to continue with getting their consents in a time frame, just like the VBO office, and getting themselves stood up again post cyclone.
I guess, Your Worship, at a broad level, you made a set of decisions a little while ago around those that were most impacted in terms of, people that were Category 3 homeowners, yellow and red placarded homes, from a combination of, rates remission for up to 2 years, and also, a decision where we projected a year ago that it might cost up to $500,000 to provide consent waivers. And so this is the best picture that we can provide at the moment around the costs incurred to date, and the question about whether to basically carry on because, you said, well, let's look at that at the end of June 2024. And so that's the decision that we're seeking, is around whether we continue to provide that support to those people that were most impacted by Cyclone Gabriel.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this update to us. It's very helpful. Councillor Butto.
Thank you, Your Worship. I note in recommendation C that this is coming back before us again, and we'll make another decision on whether or not to roll it on. Has there been any thinking of where we've gone through the VBO presentation, we'll be closing off that by the end of the year? Perhaps we should make a resolution to draw a line on that by the end of this year as well, to match the two up.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think that would be sensible because it's signalling to everyone this is the closing off the period. So I think that's a wiser amendment to the recommendation. Thank you.
I think that you could consider C as looking at when the officers bring this back in November. What council considers there, you could look at C as an option.
You could, Your Worship. I mean, probably the only thing, and I'll take any comments from John and Tony. There is, this isn't just about category 3 like voluntary buyout is. This was around, if you recall, 1,000 properties that were yellow and red placarded. So there's not a direct relationship between category 3 properties and the yellow and red placarded homes. So I think the recommendation is sound, that we come back to you in November with a further review and advice, as opposed to right now saying we should close it off, because there's not a direct relationship between category 3 and red and yellow placarded homes.
Thank you. I also know that in our community, it's taking a long time for people to get the designers, the builders, the engineers, and it's something that can't just be done instantly. There is a lot of people out there that are still working through this progress to stand up and rebuild their properties. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Worship. Initially, I too thought we should close it at the end of the year, but just on reflection, following your comments, I do know of families still living in caravans because they still haven't got their assessment through insurance sorted. So for that very simple note, I'm happy to move the recommendations as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Corbyn. Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
No, I was going to second it.
Councillor Lawson.
Look, no, I'm in full support. I just note that, in fairness, some property owners are still working through insurance settlements and others matters that need resolving before they can repair and reinstate the dwelling. I think in order of fairness that we have to continue this, and we can look at it again in November.
Thank you, Councillor Lawson. No further comments or questions? I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Now invite Anna to come forward to have a look at the fast tracking bill and our submission. Going back to item 12.
Your Worship, before the presentation on this begins, just to clarify, we really only have two choices on this: either endorse what's been sent or not to endorse what's been sent. We don't have an ability to change it, do we? Thank you.
It's been submitted. This is retrospect. Anna, do you want to add anything to your work? No. Do any councillors have any questions about the fast track bill? I mean, it's once again, the most important part is that we submit to this change of legislation. We do see some significant challenges with it, particularly around our mana whenua, particularly around our community having input in it, particularly around our council having our policy contributed to it, but all that is covered off in your submission. Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well summarised, and I think that the officers have done a good job of capturing the challenges and frustrations, perhaps, of this. So I'm very happy to move the recommendations.
Seconder. Councillor Apatu.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Just to add to the concern, really, is the ability for locally led cultural impact assessments with this particular bill, and I'm very pleased that you've highlighted an example in the paper, but just to raise that concern.
Thank you. And manga haruru tangatu comes to mind when we look at change of legislation and what the hapu went through with that and that input into that, you know, a long, hard process. It is a great concern to us, this fast-tracking bill. So that is the best, that we've put our best foot forward in that submission, so thank you. I have a mover and a second. Oh, did I have a seconder, Councillor Apatu? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Now we have Rowan. Is Rowan with us? The appointment of an external independent commissioner for Plan Change 6, Category 3 landowner lifestyle subdivision provisions.
Your Worship, am I allowed to do this again and just say, happy to move the report?
Yes. Councillor Butto. Thank you. And do you have people in your community that you think that would, you know, be able to, if we move forward with Plan Change 6? We have.
Through you, Madam Chair, we have a couple of people approached us because they hear of the process and they're interested in wanting to know the outcome, so they are keen.
Oh, thank you. Right, we have a mover and a seconder. Any further questions on Plan Change 6 and having an independent chair? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I just wonder if we might break for a cup of tea. I think that this is a good time to have a break, a cup of tea, and come back in 10 minutes. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Worship.
Okay, we're all back, thank you. Kia ora koutou. Kia ora, welcome back everyone. And we're moving to item 15, which is the retention of a Takitimu Māori ward. Just some opening comments from me. The government's proposed legislation on Māori wards we see as a complete overreach by central government. We know our communities and we know the representation that we need for our communities. Our Māori makeup is 27.3% of Heretaunga Hastings population, and that percentage will continue to grow into the future. I will add I'm incredibly proud of our rich heritage and our 19 marae and our hapu of Heretaunga. Our local government and our council, in 21-22, we completed a representation review, which included the establishment of a Takitimu Māori ward. 2,089 submissions were received, and on this, 76% were in favour of establishing a Māori ward. When we look at the crest behind us, rural and town in harmony. This is reflected of our representation of having two rural community representation. And I note that the government is not proposing a binding referendum on whether these arrangements should continue. What is different for our Māori ward? We look at the 3 Ps in the Treaty of Waitangi: partnership, participation and protection. These principles are derived from the underlining tenets of the treaty. As local government, we are local, we represent our people, and we know the makeup of our communities. We don't need central government to tell us what the makeup of our representation should be. We have had a very, very strong partnership, this council, with iwi mana whenua to improve the wellbeing of our community for many, many years. And we are proud to have a Takitimu ward. When I think about 5 years ago, we had 500 members of our community living in motels and emergency housing. 73% were Māori. Today, the number is less than 60, and that has been through the partnerships that we have delivered to achieve these results. Our partnership with Te Tai Whenua o Heretaunga and the development of Wainako, and I acknowledge the chair of our Heretaunga Takatonoa chair here today, Mike Paku. We have been on a partnership together to deliver affordable first homes and rental homes to whānau in partnership with iwi, marae, TPK, and building 80 new papakainga homes and establishing 19 papakainga sites to enable Māori ownership of housing. When I reflect on our youth employment, our rangatahi, and we have seen hundreds of rangatahi across our council get into employment, whether it's civil infrastructure and working with our top-line civil trainee academy, and seeing 100 young Māori men in Pasifika rangatahi getting into jobs and off welfare. We acknowledge the hard work of our partners in helping our young people into career pathways. When I think about our rangatahi who in 2008 and 9, and then again in 2013, 14 and 15, who were directionless, and we started Mahi for Youth, and we had our youth shop in town to bring our youth in to help them get into pathways. The partnership we have had with iwi mana whenua through decades-long joint wastewater committee has led us to the management of our wastewater, and more recently the partnership in co-design and the management of drinking water that we have delivered together through our water strategy of safe drinking water at Waiaroha. The second P in participation is made real through our Māori community being able to elect a Takitimu ward councillors to sit round our table to actively participate in local decision making, to have the voice of our mana whenua at the table. I recall the powerful speeches that we had in 2021 by Mike Paku, by Ngāhewi Tomoana, who made the point that we've been waiting, I think it was your comment, Mike, 181 years for this opportunity to be sitting at your table. We will never forget that. And the final P is protection. We want Māori wards. And I, as the Mayor, have been advocating strongly for this. I have signed the LGNZ letter to the Prime Minister with the other mayors of Aotearoa New Zealand. And I've also written, as you've seen, to our local MPs, Catherine Wedd and Katie Nimmin, about them understanding the importance and the value and the mana of having a Takatimu Māori ward. That is my opening comments, and I'll now turn to Louise. This is a paper you've brought. We've had a recommendation from our Hiritonga Takotonoa committee that we wish to retain our Māori ward. If we were expected to have a referendum at next year's election in October 2025, it is likely to cost around $100,000 for our ratepayers to pay for a referendum. We have already gone out and submitted. We've got lots and lots of submissions, over 2,000. People told us they wanted a Māori ward, and we'd have to do it again under new legislation. And that is a lot of money for our ratepayers to find. Louise, did you want to add anything to your paper?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Take the report as read. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Yes, thank you. Just interested if there has been a response from the local MPs.
A letter just received, and obviously I haven't sent it out, so I'll get that out to you. Have I sent it out? Oh, thank you. I've sent it out. There has been a response, yes.
And what type of response, please?
Well, you've obviously not had a chance to read it, Councillor Harvey.
I think the public should have an opportunity to hear if there was any change of direction.
The response is the direction of the National Party and the Prime Minister, which is democracy. But as we say, local should have the decision-making on representation. We shouldn't have interference from central government on our representation around our table. We know our people. Comments? Questions? Councillor Kerr. Oh, sorry, Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Worship. If you're inviting comments. I'm frustrated. And I'm frustrated because we've already gone through a process with our community and asked them for their opinion on the establishment of Māori wards, and we had a vast majority say yes. So we've gone ahead and done this. Our Māori ward councillors have been invaluable, in my view, in driving initiatives in environmental stewardship. They've been invaluable in sustainable development ideas and also in reflecting kia atiakitanga principles. These efforts, in fact, protect our resources, they create jobs, and they enhance our community engagement. Moreover, values like whakawhanaungatanga and manaakitanga enhance social cohesion and economic opportunities in our district, for all, not just for Māori. And I think it would be short-sighted of me to also stop there and think that their contributions have only been in the social space, because they haven't. We need only look at the Māori economy and its growth to over $42 billion, which showcases the positive impact of culturally based approaches at an economic level as well. Retaining Māori wards ensures representation for 29% of our population who identify as of Māori descent. It encourages participation from our whole community. It enriches our decision making, and it makes a more vibrant and equitable community for everyone in Hiritonga Hastings. So I wholeheartedly support your recommendations, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sholem. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you, Your Worship. If council chooses to create a ward, for example, a rural ward or a Flaxmere ward or a Havelock ward, we do so through the Local Electoral Act and Local Government Act, and it requires us to do three things: create or identify communities of interest, identify the most effective form of representation for that community and ensure fairness, which is essentially the ratio of population per councillor. So each of us sitting around this table represents a similar number of people. There is no poll if we wanted to create a Flaxmere ward or a rural ward. There is no additional steps. Yet imposed on us is this challenge about having a poll to see if we can retain what we've already got. I'm a rural rate payer, I'm in a rural ward, but I'm also on the Māori roll. So I have a choice of being a voter in the rural ward or on the Takatimu ward. And I'm very proud to say I chose to be on the vote for the Takatimu ward. I chose, but it's still one person, one vote, and I'm so disappointed when I've heard people speak up, oh, it's not democracy. Well, it is democracy because we still only have one vote. The proudest day of my career with local government was when we approved Māori wards. And I still remember the tears of joy around this room, and I'm not prepared to let that go either. So I fully support our council's stance and the demand that Māori wards are treated equally with rural wards, and our Flaxmere ward and our Hastings Havelock ward, and it is our choice under the Local Government Act and the Local Electoral Act. We don't need extra hurdles just to do what we know is best for our communities and our communities of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Other comments? Councillor Apatu. Our first, with Councillor Jessup, Takatimu Māori Ward Councillor.
Tēnā koutou katoa. I just want to stand before you as a Takatimu Ward Councillor and say what a privilege it has been to be voted into this role by our people, for our people. I also want to acknowledge Hastings District Council for your leadership in creating and supporting our Māori ward seats. It's been a privilege and a journey so far, 18 months in, and I'm incredibly proud of the mahi that we have achieved to date and see this as an ongoing journey, but to acknowledge the progress that we have made. Despite that, it is actually my right to be here at this table as well. It is my right as mana whenua, tangata whenua, to sit here and to represent our people. And we can't let go of that right. On one hand, it's the right thing to do, and it is the right of our people to be here, to be fairly represented. And if we look at Te Tirihau Waitangi in Article 3, you know, this is exactly what this is about having the same rights as non-Māori and having the same right to be at this table. You're right, Mayor Sandra, our demographics say that we are just under 30%. So 30% of this table should be made up of mana whenua, tangata whenua. So we will continue this journey with my fellow councillors, particularly Councillor Jessup, to be in this role and to put our best foot forward. I doubt we will take this lying down somehow. There is a groundswell out there. We have much support to be here, but just to acknowledge you all for this journey so far. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor Apatu. Councillor Jessup.
He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. I stand here as a proud Māori girl from Te Pakipakitanga o Hini Te Moa, but I was actually born to be at this table because my parents, my grandparents and my tūpuna weren't. Our reo rangatira is practiced every day, our karakia, our matauranga goes into all those portfolios that the council, taiao, everything, education. And I must say, congratulate everybody that's around this table and also the kaimahi, because without your due diligence and aroha and manaakitanga to make us the best that we can at our jobs, you have all helped me and our fellow councillors like Anna and Renata. But thank you, Sandra, because you are right. Who are they to tell us what to do when our hapu, our iwi, have worked hard with the council as co-governance to take us on this course? I won't say that we will take this line down because we won't. We can't. There's too much mahi that's been done behind the scenes and our moi moi ao is going forward. all I can say is that the positivity that comes from this table gives me the courage and the mana to stand up for everything that comes across the tepu in mana motuhakitanga that we were born with. Nō reira, kei a mātou te aratika. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you, Kelly. Any other comments? Thank you. Then I will move to the recommendations. I'm happy to move the recommendations. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sholem. Just before I put to the vote, this legislation is incredibly divisive. We have a partnership for over 200 years. And where will it end? We're going backwards. And I'm deeply, deeply worried about what this will do for us in this country. So we have an opportunity today to make a stand, councillors, to show how important our Takitumu Māori ward has been and what it'll be for the future. And we have to work within the bounds of central government, but we need to make sure our community understands, and each and every one of you have that duty as you sign in to become a councillor, that you represent the Treaty of Waitangi, our document of 200 years, and what it means for us as people. We are a unique country with a unique treaty, and we are a unique culture, and we have to treasure and value that. And it's not up to politicians to decide that for us. I have a mover, myself, and a seconder, Councillor Sholem. Are there any further comments? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Kia ora. Thank you for coming today, Mike. Now, item 16, the Local Government New Zealand Conference. Recommendation C. I've had two of our new councillors who would like to attend the conference, Councillor Apatu and Councillor Hawke, and two of the rural councillors, Councillor Izzy Crawshaw and Councillor Jonathan Stockley.
Your Worship, community board members.
Community board members. My apologies, Councillor. Our community board members would also like to attend. I have a mover of those recommendations.
I'm happy to move the recommendations and note that two community board members go to the Local Government Community Board Conference, which I think is adjacent to the Local Government Conference.
And I haven't heard from any others that wish to attend. So I'll put those, do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Dixon, second, and Councillor Jessup.
Can I just add something, Sandra,
yes.
In case our next Takitumu ward member comes in, she might want to come, or they might want to, sorry. They might want to come.
Get your programs right.
Well, we could put in, it'll be a bit early, I think. I think it's really important that it's a big 3 days, and I think that perhaps next year would be good. So we'll just have the two this year from the councillors. Councillor Dixon, are you comfortable with that? And the second, Councillor Jessup, are you happy to second that? Thank you. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Now we move on to the Local Government Information and Official Information Act and Lagoimas for the month. Louise, did you want to add anything to your Lagoima list? Does anybody have any questions about Lagoimas for this month? Councillor Kerr?
Yes, Your Worship. Last council meeting, I believe, we put in place a fee structure around time taken for Lagoimas. I was wondering, has that come into effect, and have we utilised the charging of time?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, we've socialised that decision amongst the staff. We haven't charged anyone since that meeting. there was one that we were considering may have been the situation, but it ended up a situation where we had to decline it, so it didn't proceed.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I'll put those recommendations. Oh, do I have a mover? No. Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Seconded, Councillor Harvey. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Item 18, the proposed amendments to schedules of meetings.
Happy to move.
Excuse me, just a point of clarification, Louise. Have we got the swearing in of new councillors put in that extraordinary meeting?
We put that meeting in the last
one,
meeting.
thank you.
So that's
Okay.
there. But just one question, Madam Chair, if we could just bring that time, I think we had it down as 3 p.m. next Tuesday, but if we could make it 2 p.m, I think that would fit the schedule a bit.
So that's the induction of the new councillors and swearing in and an extraordinary item. Okay, thank you. That's 2 o'clock on Tuesday after the Pōheri lunch. Have I got to move? Councillor Kerr?
I'm happy to move those amended recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Shodham, second. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Now we move on to a recommendation to exclude the public, and this is item 21. And I'd just like to invite, please, Mr. Cameron to explain to us why these two items should be excluded, the public should be excluded.
Through Madam Chair, regards item 22, it's recommended be held in public exclusion to protect council's ongoing negotiation position and commercially sensitive information both of council and other parties, which informs those negotiations. If you approve that PX, I also request that council's consultants who are working on this matter can remain in the chamber, and then they will leave the chamber. Regards item 23, also recommended to be heard in public exclusion. There's personal information of people that may be considered for positions, and again also to protect council's commercial position.
Any questions, councillors? Do we have a mover to move into public excluded? Councillor Watkins, seconded Councillor Dixon. Any further questions or comments? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Thank you to our community who has joined us today for our council meeting, and we look forward to being back with you soon, as we have many, many items in front of us and lots of mahi to do. Ngā mihi nui, kia ora koutou katoa. Thank you.